Hello, internet. So people have had their time to calm down after this whole Walking Dead fiasco and everything. And yes, I know that most of my videos are late, but a good chunk of those I kind of just don't want to necessarily get those out right on the money, because again, you kind of have all these flooding opinions and shit, and a few of those are live reactions. A few of those people out there who kind of just like speak from the heart and shit. And it's kind of nice to kind of just like take it like one step at a time, or give it like a little bit of time to fester and then talk about it. So what am I talking about today with The Walking Dead season 7, the premiere of what is going on, and the hour and a half special that popped up on Sunday. Well, of course, this is by far one of the more like serious episodes to kind of, or at least like it's more like one of the more heavier changes in the in this entire series, because again, when season 7 started, of course, we had our major shock of them killing off 2 people, and of course, a key thing of Negan basically giving Rick this specific type of he gave him this specific type of what do you call it, goal, or at least he made him a deal. You do your job, say you go out, you get stuff from me, and I won't kill your people. Okay, cool. And as it stands, and or at least at the very least, we have been watching this unfold with plenty of people. Like we've had enough episodes to see where this is going. We see that Negan and his group are fucking bullies through and through. Now, of course, that goes without saying of him killing off some of his people and shit in order for them men to make that known. But it's clear to say that Negan's ideals are very different from his away crew, or the people who that he comes with. And I don't think that Negan necessarily really understands, or at least, or most likely he does. He understands that his people are kind of rough, you know. And it's like, of course, the first half of this episode, so there's, of course, Negan waiting for Rick to get there, him trying, man, to, you know, live, man, the whole Southern life and everything, and all that's wonderful. And of course, we do kind of have, man, these whole little interesting, like, intercut moments, which one I have to specifically talk about, because again, I said it before and I will say it again. Father Gabriel is by far the #1 character to have a complete coin flip to his character, because again, when we first met him, he was a fucking coward. He was somebody who did have to kind of get bullied and beaten down just a little bit to toughen him up to a point to where that he can be considered one of those level-headed people in Rick's group. And you see that no better with his interaction with Spencer in the last episode, and with his interaction with Rosita in this episode, of him just breaking it down to saying that we get it. You are in pain, but we need you alive. So don't fucking do what you plan on doing. So of course it kind of has a pretty interesting kind of build up there, or a pretty interesting trail off, you know. And of course we kind of get everybody's like interactions and everything, and Rick going off and stealing stuff. But I think that everything in this sort of played out, and it kind of hit Rick harder in this episode, of just saying that, okay, this is what the saviors do. And it's not about how much shit you get for them. It's not about how cool or how much Negan respects you and shit. That shit boils down to they can't live like that. Because again, when Rick came back and them fucking with him, and then them fucking with Aaron and shit, and then them trying, man, to beat him up over a fucking note and shit, you know, and them constantly trying their hardest to kind of try and overpower them. And the more interesting thing about that too is that not only the guys in the away team have this personality. You even saw that in the last episode when Michonne like kidnapped one of those, I want to say the red-haired lady who works on Negan, like with her and shit like that. They thought that they could just beat these people down and just take them and just take whatever they wanted, but you see that the mind kind of shifts once Michonne basically physically showed her you can't push me around, and that's when she kind of became a way more grounded, way more talkative, and she's not that much of an asshole anymore. So I would think that if everybody was like King Ezekiel and shit, and they Rick took the King Ezekiel route and was like, listen, don't fuck with my people, then, or at least sort of played up that part a little bit more, things they probably wouldn't play out the way how that they did. So, and of course, the biggest moment in this episode is something that I really do like that they did keep in the comics. However, I think Spencer in the comic looked a little bit more Weasley, so there's that. But for this episode, it was more or less like a very interesting thing of fucking Spencer trying his hardest to tell Negan to kill Rick so that he can be the leader. Because again, he wants to play ball and he wants to keep everybody happy. But again, I said this before. Negan doesn't really fuck with Gregory. So that's also something else that people that they don't necessarily really realize, that why is Negan making so many house calls to the fucking Alexandria safe zone, and it's because, as he told Carl and as he told Rick, he fucking respects them. He has a lot of respect for them. However, most of his people, they don't necessarily understand that. And with how this episode is sort of playing out with Negan essentially killing Spencer, and then with Rosita's retaliation getting, which I will be fair, like his realization over the bullet and not necessarily the gun are kind of interesting, because again, it's more or less like with Olivia's death kind of bleeding into like what is going on with this bullet and shit. It's pretty interesting how that shit plays out, because it's like, wouldn't you have a bigger question of Rosita getting the gun, or where was that shit even at, versus she has a fucking bullet, or at the very least she has a bullet for that gun, which is a bigger question, or at the very least it's something that I may be way more interested in. But then again, like, Eugene only made one bullet and not multiple. If he made multiple, he probably would have had a different outlook on that. So now we kind of run the gambit of him taking fucking Eugene to try and force him to make bullets for him, because again, if you think about it, there's a reason why Negan's people, why they don't use guns, or at the very least they only use them for show. Like, the only person who ever really uses like a projectile weapon is Dwight, and that's because that's Daryl's crossbow. Or why is it that Dwight so interested in Daryl's like crossbow? And it's because you can get arrows back. You can't get a bullet back so easy without manufacturing a fucking bullet. So you think about that for a second. Also, to kind of end this off, of course, because we already know that Rick and everybody say Daryl breaking out with the help of Jesus and with the help of Dwight, who did help Daryl leave, because again, who else the fuck could that be? He's helping him leave, and of course Daryl killing off Joey and shit, and then them leaving and whatnot. All that has a very interesting sort of payoff here, and I'm kind of liking it so far. But till then, please tell me what do you think about this down there in the comment section. I'll catch you on the next Jongravesshow Show. Please keep watching anime, keep playing video games, and I'll see you next time. I'm out. We've all heard it by now that, yes, Dragon Ball Super Episode 70 is by far one of the crazier episodes to come out this season, especially since that it's just a normal episode, which that at first I was kind of like, well, it's just normal goofiness. But at the very least, these are just those normal episodes when it's like, hey, we just have the characters just sort of sitting around and just being them, like having their personalities sort of bounce off of one another. It's something that me and a few of my friends like what we used to talk about like back in Dragon Ball Z days.